buses are not magic. Did you know that? Did you know that tank buses are not magic? They really aren't. People think they are. People think that tank buses are magic, but they're not magic. They're not even an illusion. Now, really, there's no such thing as magic. Remember how Doug Henning, he always used to say that. He always used to say, there's no such thing as magic. There's just illusions. Remember he used to say that? But tank buses aren't either one. They're not magic and they're not illusions. People seem to think that if you just stand out on the street and just stand there, that a tank bus is going to come along just automatically and pick you up and take you right where you need to go. But no, it's not like that. Because they don't operate on most streets in this area. They operate on some major streets, but they don't even go out as far as they used to. Many of the poorest neighborhoods in the area are not served by tank. Did you know that? And service has been drastically reduced over the past 30 years. I have some old bus schedules, like from the 80s, where the service used to be much bigger than it is now. But see, people seem to think that all you need to do to ride tank is just, get $1 together, or whatever the fare is now. I mean, it's been years since I've used them because tank just doesn't seem to go anywhere. Just, people seem to think all you need to do is just get a little money and just stand out on the street. And a tank bus is going to come along and pick you up like magic. Like a tank bus somewhere. Like there's some magic tank bus somewhere that knows where you are. And it's just going to appear out of nowhere. And the driver and the other passengers are just going to magically go bloop and just appear. And then just take you right to your destination. Just as long as it's within 20 miles of here. It doesn't work that way. I've had many arguments with people about this. It's just in this area, that's pretty much what you have to do because, high cost of living around here, bad economy. We've had a bad economy around here for the past 15 years. And, a lot of other crap. But that's pretty much how it is. Now that's just how it works. And people seem to think, some people even around here seem to think taxis are magic too. They seem to think like it is on Seinfeld, where you're just standing out on the street and you just yell out, taxi, and a taxi appears, suddenly, out of nowhere. They seem to think that it's like that around here. I mean, I dare you to go out on the street, right, in the middle of, say, Highland Heights or Cold Spring or something and yell out, taxi, and see if a taxi comes along. I dare you. Or, did the guy in the battery commercial used to say, I dare you. Remember that guy? He was cool. He used to go around in the battery commercial saying, I dare you. And that was back around the same time as, they had a lot of good commercials back then. Like in the 70s and 80s, the commercials were a lot more memorable. Like the commercials for Hubba Bubba that had the gum fighter, and there were some other ones. There was Lite Brite. Remember Lite Brite? I used to have a Lite Brite. And I wonder how many fires have been started, because remember how Lite Brites used to come with those black sheets where you stick the pegs in, and the little round pieces of paper would fall off the sheets and go down inside the Lite Brite. I wonder if that's ever caused any fires, because Lite Brites use like this big bulb inside. Remember that? It was this huge bulb you couldn't find anywhere. So I don't know what would have happened if that ever burned out, because I remember it was just, I mean, it was just this enormous bulb. And and remember a few years ago when the airport in Boston was afraid of Lite Brites? Remember that? Somebody put up a bunch of messages with Lite Brites, and the Boston airport tried having them prosecuted under the Patriot Act for that. Remember that? It's like some peace group or something. Maybe, I don't know, it might have been like an anti-war group, or maybe it's like a labor union or something. They put up these messages all over the Boston airport using a Lite Brite. And then the Boston airport was going to have them prosecuted under the Patriot Act for them, even though they didn't pose a threat to anybody. The Boston airport is afraid of Lite Brites. Can you believe it? How can you be afraid of a Lite Brite? I don't know. Maybe they thought it was actually going to catch on fire if the little pieces of paper went down inside and caught the bulb on fire or something. But other than that, there's no reason to be afraid of Lite Brites. I mean, I used one when I was about 3 years old. It didn't scare me. And Magna Doodle. I remember Magna Doodle. I used to have a Magna Doodle. And I remember how Magna Doodle. Now, I think I was about 7 years old and I had a Magna Doodle. But then I remember, now the thing is, I didn't have it for very long. I had maybe a few months. And then there was like, I was in the den. I was playing with it on the floor in the living room. And then I went into the den for something. It was on the floor. And then we had like relatives over it or something. Like aunts and uncles and cousins or something. And one of them stepped on my Magna Doodle. I was in the den. I heard a big crunch. I heard crunch. And then I heard my mom said, "Well, Tim, you don't have a Magna Doodle anymore." And how could somebody step on a Magna Doodle? You know, how could that happen? Didn't they watch where they were going? You know, I mean, look, the carpet was green and the Magna Doodle was orange, so it's not like it blended in with the carpet or anything. How can you step on a Magna Doodle? How is it that you can't see where you're going? And that you end up stepping on a perfectly good Magna Doodle? But then I remember years later, this is maybe probably like 15 years ago, there was a commercial on TV for Magna Doodle. And it went, Magna Doodle. And it was funny. It was funny. They used to show it I remember they used to show it right before Cops, the TV show. It would go like, Magna Doodle. And it would say, all suspects are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Except now, of course, they just act like they're all guilty on Cops. I mean, that show pretty much jumped the shark when every episode was a war on drugs episode, where they would like frame people for selling a pot or buying pot. That's all the show turned into be. You know, that's pretty much what the show ended up becoming. This was probably about 5 years ago. This is like when Bush was paying TV shows to run like messages against pot, and every other episode got to be war on drugs, and it was like, and what they'd go out, they'd pose as like drug dealers, and they'd sell pot to people, and that's, it's like a whole big frame ups, and they say, well, you know, this marijuana here is the ruin of society. It's like, how stupid. And they did the same thing with prostitution stings too. And it's just entrapment, televised entrapment, and they're glorifying it on TV. Now there's been some good things on Cops, but that was